Welcome in, welcome in. Hello, folks. How you doing? I hope everybody's doing well. Hello, Struggle Bus over on Twitch. How you doing, my friend? I am doing fine. It is, in fact, a absolutely cromulent Wednesday. I had planned for today to be a big recording day. Just checking my volumes. Okay, my levels, all good. Today's shirt is a double rainbow reference. That's probably pretty freaking dated. But you know what? I'll take it. That is the shirt we are dealing with today. And I just felt like having something hopeful like that double rainbow, because today's game is it's about the end of the world. It's called ARC, and it is a game about fighting. Oh, there we go. Fighting. Oh, geez, there we go. It's about fighting to save the world. Look, I've got a camera for that. I've got a camera actually dedicated for that. So we're going to take a look at that real quick. But yes, we do take memes here. It's an old code, but it checks out. Okay, look, I have so many just graphic tees. It is who I am as a person. They're gonna keep happening. I don't want to stop them. I'm not going to stop them. They will not stop. Now, why? So I've got a couple of things coming in today. For example, an extender for my headphone cables, because I had an extender and then I tripped all over it and bent the connectors, and that sucks. And the built-in cord for these, well, these headphone sets, it's pretty good. I actually had some of those Sony monitors, but they're finally dying on me, so I had to switch over to these. I might be in the market for some new headphones, possibly soon. But in the meantime, just so I can actually move around, I've got an extension coming in today. But they were not here ready in time for the show, alas. So my mobility is slightly limited. I cannot run around the room with the same freedom that I usually. Hey, this is where this dice was. It was in my pocket. I just found it. Cool. So, with all that in mind, I hope you all are having a good Wednesday yourselves. For those of you who are on YouTube or have been on the YouTubes, I can finally, I've got everything now. I can see YouTube over there. I can see Twitch down here for me. I can see everything. And for those of you who haven't seen it, I should just figure out a way. Give me a second. How do I put a link to my channel? That's another thing. I need to take some time, maybe tonight, and just basically create. Let me just go ahead and get that going here. Let's see, YouTube. I'm just gonna take a moment because all this gets edited out later, and y'all are here just hanging out with me. So let me just grab real quick my channel, grab a link to that, and post it to the chat so that anybody watching here will have. There we go, a link to my channel where I have taken these same streams and kind of cut them down a little for future reference should anyone want to see these sort of raw reviews once more, and but you know, with a little bit of the fluff cut out. So that's the channel. Those are the things that are posted. And let me catch up with chat real quick. Struggle Bus still fighting with the server move. Macros are supposedly running, but I'm concerned they may be stuck in a never-ending loop. So that's fun. Yep. Oh, I love it. I love it when things are running and you're not sure if it is running or not. It's like it's taking a while. That could be perfectly normal, or it could be absolutely terrible, and you really have no way to know for a while. So I get that. I'm gonna have to program the bot to like spam that link along with a couple of others. I need to update just like the links in. I need to do a lot of updating. There's so much stuff. It takes a lot of time to get all this shit running. I am surprised by how much time everything takes. I was going to do a lot of filming this morning, and to be fair, I didn't do all the filming that I was going to do this morning because I preferred to just have a little walk, and then I got back and I sat down for a moment, and my cat jumped on my lap. And that was that for a while. I think in the future there will not come a day when I will say damn, I should not have spent so much time letting my cat have a little snooze on my lap. I think that's the kind of thing that I will never regret. So that's okay. Some of the work that I was going to do this morning, I can either do in the evening or I've got all day tomorrow. So it's all good. See, as a mechanical engineer by schooling, doing programming is something you do not enjoy. Yes, no, that's the thing. Like it is. You are telling this. I mean, yes, it's not a real black box. AI is kind of a black box, but like computers are not a 100% black box, but they might as well be. They might as well be, and there is enough abstraction there that at the end of the day, you're just kind of telling, you're yelling at a black box in its own language, and hoping it understood you, and hoping it's doing the thing. But unless you're very clever, or you have a level of access, you don't know. You don't know until certain things break. So fun times for that. And yes, cat cuddles are top priority. It's true. It's true. That is who I am. Again, as a person, that is the decision I have made in my content creation career, is to always, and this is free advice to all you content creators out there. Always, always, always put your cat first. Everything else comes second. That's the kind of success that I enjoy in this medium. That's the kind of philosophy that leads you there. All right, on that note, we are going to switch to the game for today because we are, in fact, creating some content, not some context. It exists outside of the context of all things. So let's go ahead and switch here. There we go. Beautiful. Look at that book. It actually kind of like matches my little backdrop, underdrop, drop thing fairly well. There's my dice that I found in my pocket, and we are, oh boy, nat 1 to start with, first roll of the day. All right, so let's take a look at this. So first of all, this book is not one where I think I'm going to complain about the lack of art or color. Just the cover alone itself is absolutely gorgeous. This design, I don't know if this is, I picked this up online. I think there are editions with different covers. I'm not 100% sure, but this is the cover I picked, and I like it. I love the art style, I love the design. Go ahead and read the back here. The clock is ticking. Create heroes, explore worlds, and embark on exhilarating adventures as you race against the clock to slay the apocalypse in this tabletop role-playing game. Ready your sword, draw your best spells, for tonight we save the world. Published by Exalted Funeral. So let's take a look at this. I've been excited. This is another one that I bought, and I thought this was beautiful, and I want to give it some time at some point. And then I never quite got around to it. The pages are very shiny, so let me try something here. That's slightly better. Yeah, I think that's better. It's a little darker, but so long as y'all can read it, yeah, the auto brightness is going to have a field day with this one, but we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it treats us. All right, so we've got our basic credits. Mamatos. I don't have no idea how I'm supposed to pronounce this one. Mamatos. I'm gonna go with Mamatos. Did the game, the art, the writing, and the layout. So pretty much everything except the basic editing and sensitivity reading, all by this one author, which fucking impressive. That again, I don't know what's with it. Well, first thing we see is a friggin' table of contents, so already ahead of a lot of other games that we've taken a look at. But like I said, I have no idea what the first time cracking this open, first time dive into this game, so I have no idea what to expect between these pages other than generally pretty. But generally pretty at first glance, that alone is an achievement. All the quadruple threat to Mamatos, nothing but respect. Hopefully this game lives up to the expectations I'm setting on, and I think it will. I hope it will. We'll see. But yeah, step 1, table of contents check, passed. All right, so let's look at a little bit here. So step into a world of heroes. Together, craft a story to slay the apocalypse. Your adventure begins here. So we've got some more credits, and then about the doomsday clock. Oh, so this is making reference. This is making reference to the actual doomsday clock that we have here in the real world. They're just going to talk about it. The iconic Doomsday Clock is a trademark of the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists, an independent, non-profit media organization, all rights reserved. Doomsday Clock, which has been called the most powerful piece of information design of the 20th century, was created in 1947 as a metaphor to communicate humanity's proximity to self-destruction. The Bulletin mission is to equip the public policymakers and scientists with the information needed to reduce man-made threats to our existence. It was founded in 1945 by Manhattan Project scientists who could not remain aloof to the consequences of their work. Neither Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists nor the Doomsday Clock are affiliated with ARC. Momedos, Exalted. Okay, so it sounds like we're gonna have a, the Doomsday Clock. Here we go. It's right here. So it looks like that is a mechanic, and they just wanted to make sure that we know that the Doomsday Clock in the real world is a thing, and unaffiliated. Yeah, we all need a reminder on what that is. No, exactly. The current events, love them, or not. Hate. And not equipped for current events at all. So we've got a table of contents, and already this is in my top tier. How many games have we looked at so far? We've looked at less than 10. Then this one is definitely in the top of those 10, just for the table of contents alone. So we've got an introduction. What is ARC? Why play it? What do I need? Who is the guide? How do I play? How do I read? Cool, solid. I like this, and I hope that this How Do I Play ARC includes basic mechanics. I really, really do, because if it does, we're already ahead of the freaking game. Struggle Bus of History could be boring for like 20 years of my life, considering the last 25 years. Yeah, it would be nice. You know what I miss? Precedented times. We haven't had precedented times in a while. I think we as a society might just be ready for some precedented goddamn times. Now, maybe this game provides us with some inspiration to, precedent these times. Let's see how it goes. And then chapter 1, so Doom, setting up the apocalypse, orchestrating the omens, building the Doomsday Clock when Doom is vanquished and when Doom vanquishes all. Chapter 2, hero creation. Inspect the character sheet, determine approach scores, assign bloods and guts modifiers. Nice. Assign skill ranks. Ooh, there's a whole bunch going on here. Knowledge skills, social skills, physical skills, pragmatic skills, and prowess skills. Interesting. Step 4, determine your inventory, damage and defense, supplies and sundries, oddities and valuables, spells and techniques, some character building questions, and bonds. Cool. And then we've got core rules. So the core rules, how big is this? So about 20 pages, a little bit less, about 16 pages or so, 16, 17 pages of core rules. Cool. That includes skill checks, assistance, difficulty, role and outcomes, conflict, life, death, and naps, rest and recovery, okay, and evolving your hero. Cool. Like I said, I hope at least we get the basic how do I play, like, just, you'll be rolling a d20 or whatever it is. I don't know what the mechanics are yet. But just the most basic level. And then this, of course, would go into details on everything. So hopefully, we'll see. Then a chapter, another full 20 pages on spells and techniques. Cool. And then this is for the guide, another 16 or so pages for the guide, ratings and scales, creating custom characters and adversaries, guide to running ARC. The principles, etc. And look, appendices. Sample hero creation, sample scenes. Oh, I like that. I like this approach. And look at that. At the very end, I'm just going to look at that index. Holy shit, they are. Look at that. A proper index. That is, with some nice art to go along with it. Cool. Look at that. A proper index. We love to see it. Already, this game is... here we go. Momedos. Well, first of all, Momedos, known in real life as Bianca May Canosa, is a Filipina game and graphic designer. She could have been a mainframe programmer, yet here we are. Here we are indeed, and you know what? You're doing more for the world with this than you ever would have as a mainframe programmer. I'm just going to say that right away. I appreciate everything that's happened here. So far, layout team is winning big. Well, layout team is her. She is the team. Look at this. Look at that. That is game, art, writing, and layout. It's all Momedos. So, like, yeah, she is. So far, top. All right, we haven't even looked at the proper game. All we've seen is some basic book design, a table of contents, and an index, and I'm already like, best game of 2024. Even though this game actually came out a couple of years ago, best game of 2024. Nothing can beat it. Nothing even comes close. So she is, in fact, winning all the things. Yes. All right, some notes. So we've got some additional notes. So okay, so these are the general works and inspirations. Oh, interesting. Okay, so this talks about RPG SAE with Southeast Asia, I believe. So yeah, I think this is worth a quick read. And this was back in 2021. Wow, yeah, this is a while ago. Finally getting around to this. So I wonder what this is going to feel like 3 years after. Let's see. So as the global landscape of tabletop RPG expands, the RPG SAE community is proving that Southeast Asia is an exciting region for meaningful, delightful, and even provocative games. And it's true. I've seen some amazing games come from the RPG SAE, or RPGC community, and I miss it. Another reason I'm angry at Elon for destroying Twitter is that I haven't been able to find the same like indie tabletop RPG communities I used to have. I think Blue Sky's the closest, and it doesn't feel the same. But I always loved, that's part of why I picked this up in the first place. I remember hearing about it on Twitter, RIP. Yeah, first time knows SEA is Southeast. Yep. Let's see. From the queer travails of coming out to Asian parents, to 1990s action heroes in bombastic Philippine cinema. I was going to say Philistine. In bombastic Philippine cinema, to crocodile chieftains, mosquito witches, and patchwork reality gods in a monsoon village, even to simpler things like the ordeal of Malaysian traffic. RPG SAE embodies the deep diversity of its creators' perspectives and experiences. The works of Pampun Saran, Sedex Yu, BJ Recio, Shao Han, Aaron Lim, Sin Posadas, Macapatag, Samuel Mui, and many more nurture a rich archipelago of ideas and partnerships that defy monoliths and hegemonies. I'm sometimes, you can tell that sometimes I have an accent because I speak Spanish, and B, sometimes there are words that I very much know from books more than having heard them out loud. Hegemony is one of them, and I keep going, hegemony. Anyway, ARC is decidedly an RPG SAE game, not simply because I myself, speaking as Mamedos, right, am a Filipina, but because it affirms the community's stance against the ideas of a quote-unquote default narrative, while encouraging the players, you, to create stories close to your lived experiences, close to the boundless ocean inside your heart. I dedicate this game to RPG SAE and to all who infuse their unique perspectives and experiences into their stories. I also dedicate ARC to all starry-eyed game designers, yearning for inspiration, collaboration, and community to guide them towards ever grander dreams. May you find your sea. I love it. I absolutely love that philosophy. And like I said, I found several games from this community that I've enjoyed in the past, so love it. Again, we go with the art. Look at that. It's kind of like a Morrigan. But we also got these snakes. Very cool. All right, let's see here. So, introduction. His hands shook. The sword had never felt heavier than this moment, but the champion beside him didn't seem to notice or care. Not to put fine a point on it, but he stammered. Won't our lives be in danger? She looked him dead in the eyes. The world is ending. It's the least we can do. What is ARC? ARC is a rules-light, tension-heavy fantasy tabletop role-playing game where anyone can create urgent stories, ticking down to a seemingly inescapable apocalypse. Again, look at this design. The playing around with the fonts, and yet it's still very readable. I mean, I know some people will say that they, white on black is hard to read for some people, and I can see that. I can definitely like right now I'm reading from the screen because the camera has better illumination. in the room, this actually looks a lot darker, and it is in fact difficult for me to read directly from the book. It's better for me to read from the image right now. So I see any complaints there. That said, holy shit, this drips style, and I love it. So why play ARC? And again, especially in these intro pages, you want to present this atmosphere. That's part of the reason that games like Morkborg and its ilk, they are games that could probably, you can get away with putting everything that's actually text and rules on them in like 6 pages. They don't need to be as big as they are. Part of the reason they are is the graphic design on those books. And that graphic design is part of what pulls you into that world. And I think there's a lot of that here, even if the vibe of it is very different. I'm hoping in a way more hopeful, but we'll see. So why play ARC? You can play ARC to escape to a world filled with memorable, heart-racing tales. Challenge awaits you. Can you overcome looming obliteration? 2. To build the story together. Support each other as heroes on a fantasy adventure, creating narratives that alter the course of destiny. And 3, to have fun, even when you've never played or run a tabletop RPG before. It's easy to feel anxious and uncertain with a new hobby. This game will guide you on becoming heroes immersed in adventure so that you worry about the doom and not yourself. Cool. Cool. I appreciate that approach. So play ARC if you're ready to slay the apocalypse. Again, the vibes. Page after page of vibes. Alright, so what do I need to play ARC? Cool. You need people. 1 player and 2 to 6 other players. Cool. You need tools, so this book or an online source document for reference to the game rules. Character sheets, you can download them at arcrpg.com. A stopwatch or timer, digital or otherwise, interesting. And several 6-sided dice. Alright, so this can be played with only 1 die, having at least 3 is nice. So it's D6 system. Excellent. I like D6 systems. And lastly, a few hours of free time, respect for your fellow players, and a willingness to save the world. A note about dice. Throughout the book, 6-sided dice are referred to as a D6. Yep, nope, got it. Basic dice mechanics. They do make a point of saying that this game is good and welcoming, even if you've never played it before, right? They did specifically say that here. Exactly, to have fun. So, cool. I will let the book, and this, in a previous one, I made a point of saying that not every game needs to have, the explanation of all these basic, almost universal tabletop RPG terms. But that also varies based on your audience. And this one specifically declared, now my audience is also people who are new to this. So, cool. Totally understood. Fits in with the theme. If anything, points for it in this case. Who is the guide? All right, I guess we're explaining who the GM, the guide, is in this game. Is a player who helps set up the story and world for the heroes. They conceptualize the plot and build a sandbox that reacts to what the others do. The guide does this by describing scenes. Okay, so it seems like it's a general GM role. Being a guide is perfect if you love planting story seeds for others and growing with them to make a unique creation. For many, though, it can feel scary and intimidating to take on this role. You used to feel pressure to be as good as some popular game master. Not everyone's as good as me. I get it. Please, viewers, don't put that pressure on yourself. You can't all be me. Shoot for somebody like maybe Brennan or Matt. You know them. They're okay. They're better for you to kind of just aim for. You can't really just get to my level, not that easily. So, I mean, I welcome you to try. This is basically just like, okay, cool. The guide is a GM. Pretty classic. Nothing too crazy, which is good to point out because, again, we saw that with Cantrip, where they had that not quite a GM position. And once you read through it, you're like, okay, I see what you're going with here. But it also felt a lot like a GM. This one's just explicitly here. This is your game master. This is your guide. This is your more classic storyteller kind of role. Cool. How do I play ARC? Hey, look, it is. So it is kind of. It's got some basic mechanics. It looks like. But it's more about the narrative. Okay, yeah, so it tells... Oh, no, it's got some mechanics, but it's more of an explanation of the idea behind the mechanics, which is exactly what we want. This is actually very good, very well done from what I'm seeing so far. Let's actually go through it closely. So far, this game is knocking it out of the park, for at least for my personal tastes, with both design and where things are. So let's see. How do I play ARC? And again, look at this, the little details. Like, how do I play ARC? Like the emphasis by playing with the words, with the fonts. I really dig what's happening here. Again, I am so far in awe of Momados and their skill and talent. Holy shit. This was all themselves, everything. I'm so impressed so far. Also positive points, it gives examples immediately next to mechanics. Exactly, examples right there. I mean, it sounds like from that table of contents, we also will have like a where is it? Table of contents. Yeah, we have like a dedicated appendix with samples and sample conflicts and stuff, which is also cool. But looks like these are the more time-consuming ones, the ones that will, like, yeah, for example, a sample conflict, it's like 4 pages, or 3 pages at least, of conflict, which means there's a dedicated space in which, like, let's get into it, let's get deep with it, let's actually see how this all plays out. But then from the start, we've got an explanation of the base system with still some initial, like, just quick examples. Yeah, this is great. This is great. I'm really liking what's happening here so far. So let's read through this. So in this game, the guide narrates story beats, plot hooks, set pieces, and scenarios which players can interact with, moving the group story along. For example, the guide could say, you come across a koi pond. No, a koi lake. So huge it feels it can span over half your village. Your eyes are caught by a giant, pale-haired woman lying in the lake and looking a little bored. Large, colorful fish swim around her. What do you do? The players then discuss and carry out their next steps, and the guide narrates the action's result. The situation reflects this change, prompting another response from the players, so it goes into the table. So that is, yeah, role-playing in a nutshell. And a quick little example. Then you take actions building the story. Okay, here's actual systems. Each player role-plays a hero, character of the game. When a hero performs a risky action in the story, the deed's outcome may be resolved using a skill check. In our example above, a player may say, okay, I'll grab her attention. The guide may respond, she's a little far out, you're just a tiny speck in her vision, so I want you to make a skill check with impose. So we've got some game terms. When skill checks happen, players roll 1d6, hoping to roll lower than a threshold number, TN. So that's your kind of target number. The TN is usually the hero's ranks in a relevant skill. In our example, it's impose plus an applicable approach score. Approach scores track. Oh, your ads are about to start. So in about 5 minutes, we're going to do ads. So let's get through the rest of this page, hopefully in the next 5 minutes before ads start. Okay, so basically you've got a skill. Your rank in that skill determines your threshold number for the roll, and you add your approach score. So the skill is imposed, and your approach score is how well a hero solves problems in a particular way, and your approach to the problem, creatively, carefully, or in a concerted manner. Okay, so those are your 3 approaches, and I like that they all start with a C. The scores are determined at the beginning of the game in hero creation. Other important rules such as conflict, staying alive, and growing from experience are discussed in Chapter 3. Great, cool. I like this. Player 3 imposes 2. I think I'll use a concerted approach to get her attention as enthusiastically as I can. I have a 1 in concerted, so my TN is 3. I roll a 2. Your 1d6 roll is lower than the TN, so you succeed in getting the giant's attention. She stands up to her full height. She's so massive she casts a shadow over you all and blocks the sun. She growls, "Who dares disturb my reverie?" What do you do next? While heroes move through the shared world, the Doomsday Clock ticks to its end. First mention of the Doomsday Clock. At set intervals, the real-time Doomsday Clock, interesting, heralding Doom's arrival. Heroes must address the impending dilemma within a time period or suffer its dire consequences. Guide. Another hour passes, so the Doomsday Clock advances by 1. 2 moments to go. 2 more hours before Doom arrives. And then some appendices for more play samples. Excellent. Good work. I like this. Quick and simple. We have a basic idea of how this is going to go. And yes, beautiful. I love it. I love it. All right, so I'm gonna run some ads right now before we continue with this, so that we can disable the pre-rolls. I'm watching out for you guys here on the YouTube. Oh, sorry, on the Twitch, and I'll just go and be right back real quick while that happens, and just refill my drink. So, let's run the ads. Boop. And let's do a quick be right back. YouTube, bear with me. All right, ads should be all over, so that means I'm back, and now I'm going to be all over this book because we're having fun with it. I like this. I like this. This almost makes streaming like a bit of a time management game in and of itself, because they have gamified this bullshit and incentivized me to manually run the ads when there's 5 minutes or less to the time when it's going to auto run them anyway, because when I do that, it disables pre-rolls for like half an hour. So if anybody else joins, they don't have to sit through the pre-rolls before they can see this fucking brilliant content that I'm just giving out there for free. And yet people will complain. It's amazing. It's amazing. How do I read ARC? I was going to make the very obvious with your eyes joke, but you can do it with your ears by simply listening to my silky smooth voice. How do I read ARC? Guide. That's me in this case. Head to chapter 1 to jump into setting up a story with everyone. Everyone should also read this chapter to learn about Doom and how it impacts the adventure. The section on omens and the doomsday clock in particular are important. Okay, so chapter 1 is for the children. Players can make heroes by following chapter 2. Cool. I like this. We're specifically telling us not just like the title. I mean, okay, sure. You can kind of figure out like what not even figure out. Right? The chapter titles tell you what more or less what they're about, right? Hero creation, etc., right? Cool. But I like this basic, like, hey, this is how you're going to use these sections. And also, they seem to be in order. It's not like, all right, well, then jump to chapter 7 for this, and then come back to chapter 2 for it. No, it's in order. Cool. Nice. Well done. Chapter 3 delves into the game's core rules, your foundation for playing an adventure. The writing targets players, but the guide should also read it so they can run the game. Okay, so chapters 1, 2, and 3 really should be read by the players, or at least the players should be familiar with them. Chapter 4 provides a handy reference to spells and techniques, including details on enhancing and gaining further instances. Okay, so people will access probably that one as needed, depending if they need to know what's in a specific spell or technique, I'm guessing. Guide. If you need help running a game, Chapter 5 is for you. It has guidance and principles applicable to any game. It also has a useful table for creating custom characters and adversaries. I like useful tables. Big fan of useful tables. And finally, lastly, The appendices, plethora of sample heroes, scenes, and even conflict. The final appendix contains the Codex of 36 Astonishing Creatures, which I love that. I love that term. I love that it's all caps like that, all bold. The Codex of 36 Astonishing Creatures that can appear or serve as inspiration in your adventure. Notes on time, lengths, and pronouns. Cool. So time, there are two types of time, in story time and real time. In story marks the passage of time within the narrative. Real time marks the passage of time in our real world. A rest taking 3 hours in story, for example, can simply take up 2 minutes in real time. These two types of time are labeled accordingly to avoid confusion. And it looks like real time matters in this game because there's a point of a timer and whatnot. So we'll see that as we go. Lengths and short distances are indicated by heights. This approximates the average height of a person and is around 5 to 6 feet or 1.5 to 1.8 meters. So interesting. So that's our measurement for this game. 2 heights, 3 heights. Interesting. Okay, that's a cool way to help players more easily visualize. Because if you can say like, oh, it's about 3 heights away, it's like, all right, so 3 people away. Okay, so that's like 15, anywhere from 15 to 20 feet. Cool, I get that. Or, meters for the those still unfreed by the American Eagles. Pronouns. In several cases, this book uses you to refer to either you as the player or guide or your hero. Context clarifies which. As for pronouns you should use for other heroes or players, it's best to ask first as a sign of respect. Solid. Chapter 1. Doom. The Doom is a cataclysmic event threatening to devastate the world of the heroes or their people. In ARC, the hero's goal is preventing this apocalypse. And we got a little quote there at the bottom. It's too late, the princess whispered, voice cracking. The three held each other tightly, as if they could keep the cold away with what little heat they had. They'd failed to stop the doom. Now the world would suffer with their mistake. Dum dum dum, dum dum dum. The doom is determined by the guide and players. It can be large in scope. For example, a world-sundering earthquake triggered by a goddess's death, or, more intimate, the departure of beloved spirits, a cruel heartbreak, or the farewell of an era. Dooms advanced at a terrifying pace, even without player intervention, waiting for no one and always moving forward. So we're creating an apocalypse. So here's the thing. Like I think I did generally consider one time going, hey, let's play this to the gang. And the first glances we took, our initial sort of sentiment, I think this was, kind of deep within the heat of early COVID. Yes, this was 2021, so it was we were this wasn't early COVID, it was hardcore COVID. This was like in the midst of it. And at the moment we just say that like, oh, we have to like build an apocalypse, we have to like set up the end of the world and all that. It felt like a little bit too much. It felt like that's gonna be a downer. I don't want that right now. I think if we'd gone a little deeper, this game is about fighting the apocalypse. I think it's, I think made me think that is one of the few kind of criticisms I might have, although I see what's happening here. And again, it's not so much a criticism, it was just like, given the context of the world at large at the time, this first little example, I distinctly remember reading this and feeling like, oh no, this is going to be a downer. This is going to be, which, can be a valid game to run, a valid story to tell, and an interesting and even fun story to play out. But at the time, it really felt like, oh, this is a sad game. This is a game where I'm going to lose, no matter what I do. I'm going to feel helpless. And so at the moment, I think that's part of what pushed us away. I think as we go, we'll find that that's not the point. The point of the game is the fight itself. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I think it's a more hopeful game than that initial blurb there gives it credit for. I think is what I'm saying. I'm hoping because I, for one, don't mind dark settings, but also I want a ray of hope. Give me a ray of hope. That's part of why, like, as much as I like the stuff like Morkborg, I can't take it seriously. I can play it, I can enjoy it, but I most definitely need to take the piss out of it, which I think is the correct way to play it. If you look at Morkborg and books like it, and the games like it, they're surprisingly, or even not surprisingly, they're just very tongue-in-cheek. They're very much, kind of like the Warhammer, like this is meant to be kind of satire and parody and over-the-top metal. You're not supposed to take it too seriously. So I think it's the right approach. But also, like, yeah, the only way I can play those things is to not take them seriously. This one, I feel like maybe it's not meant to be that specifically. I think you're kind of meant to take it seriously. I just hope it's there's hope here. With all this focus on Doom, I would like some hope. So let's see how that goes. Setting up the apocalypse. Guide. Any idea you have for the story and its doom may be refined further with the player's help. The following questions can help. You can be as loose or as specific as you'd like. You can even pull inspiration from favorite books or media. The only important detail is that this world must eventually be in peril. So basically, you got a few questions, and we'll just go through them real quick. The first is what kind of setting resonates with or intrigues you, and it gives you a few examples, such as medieval fantasy with frog wizards, magical realism in a Southeast Asian context, a blend of 1920s gangster culture and competitive yet mystic alchemy. So whatever world you want. What characters do you want to play in this world, and how did they meet? Holy shit, it looks like it worked. Hey, no worries, man. No worries, Struggle Buzz. Welcome in. Welcome back. And yeah, no, work is gonna take priority. I get that. But also, yes, it should. Hopefully, if I stay on top of running the ads manually every time it gives me the 5-minute alert, it'll keep a ad break every hour or half an hour or so keeps the pre-rolls away. So let's see. Hopefully. So what characters do you want to play in this world, and how did they meet? And again, just gives you a few examples. So there's a gathering of clerics from different faiths united by a common cause. I actually really like that one. A troop of bards, all half-siblings, or something else entirely. And then third question, are there themes you want to see in the story, such as the dark side of anointed heroes, or a cold revenge, or homecoming? So basically, establish a setting, establish the characters, establish a theme. And here's some basic examples, but it's pretty much open to whatever you and your players want to do. So this should be very collaborative. And how long does the game last? Doom is time-bound. The Doom, is time-bound, encompassing a finite number of sessions. ARC works best with 1 to 3 session games, although you can play for longer. Interesting. So it's meant to be a specific arc. It's meant to have a beginning, middle, and end. Good. Lay that out always from the beginning. I think the only... We'll see how much further we need to go, right? Because there's omens, there's memorable ideas. Yeah, okay, so we're still not done, because I was going to say I would like to see even more guidance, like the specific sets of questions like we saw in Gun and Slinger, where the gun got specific questions, the slinger got specific questions. Like maybe some more specific questions for the setting, for each part. But since it's also so wide open in whatever genre or theme you want to play it in, it's hard to give a lot there. Like the advantage that something like Gun and Slinger has is that while it still gives you a lot of room for player input and creativity, that player input and creativity is already based around an established framework of a world. While here, the only real thing tying whatever world you're creating to somebody else's world is that it's doomed. Other than that, take whatever genre, take whatever people, take whatever themes you want to see and insert them into just the basic framework of now they're doomed. I like this. I just want more from. I want even more. I like questions. I like thematic questions. And we might see them. We might see them. Let's see. Like I said, this is just this first page. There's more to go. So let's see. Oh, it wasn't even the ads thing. Says chat. Though that's great. I was referring to my service row. Oh, cool. Cool. The thing, your work thing worked. Yes, cool. That is actually awesome. I'm glad. I'm glad. Because that's always a freaking disappointment when you do the work, you wait, and then turns out no. So yes, fuck yeah, good for you. Hell yeah, man. All right, continuing along. Do we have the same understanding on playstyle and safety? Okay, cool. An important but often forgotten step is ensuring everyone is on the same page on playstyle and safety. Some are okay with sad endings, others hate combat, some want a punishing challenge, and when it comes to safety, everyone has unique needs and perspectives. Check in how as a group, check in now, I would say, check in how as a group and as check in how as a group and as individuals you can be aware and empowered to stand up for safety. What can help everyone feel comfortable raising concerns? Should the group avoid certain topics? Everyone, not just the guide, has a stake in creating and maintaining a welcome, supportive space. So, again, basic, session 0, safety, set expectations kind of tools. Good stuff. Yep, back to the book. And yeah, more safety tools. Exactly. Love to see it. Love to see it. It's not calling out some of the specifics, but it is giving you the general guidelines, which is solid. If you're going to keep it self-contained within the book, that's great. This is a solid overview of what you want from such a session. Guide. Once this is done, you must flesh it out further by asking yourself a few more questions. You can read the questions now and answer them after the players have made their heroes in Chapter 2. This time, you don't need to share your answers. So these questions would be more for the guide once the game world in general is created. What kind of doom incorporates the setting's themes alongside heroes' rumors, bonds, and personalities? So that's why you want to wait until after character creation. And what subplots can heroes discover and pursue? A little sidebar. Subplots are formalized through game mechanics. And are called omens, discussed in complete detail in the next section. So stuff like the children have ceased laughing. Books are being burned for blasphemous content. The exiled prince returns, their eyes a strange blue. Or something else entirely. Continue on the next page. I like that. So subplots are formalized through game mechanics. All right, let's look at that. That's unusual. All right, so what memorable ideas, events, or characters can support your story? For example, mysterious paladin on a flaming clockwork horse, a heist set in an impenetrable fortress, a duel between angry dwarf boxers, or a salacious talkative chili plant named Ron Pepper. So you can get silly with this. I like it. Also, I like the art. Again, as always, I love the design. I love the layout. I love the color play. Remember two things: your time limits and the plain fact that stories will and always change on the fly. So don't bind yourself up to an inflexible plan. Generally good GM and guide advice. So guide, you have a rough outline for a story as well as a strong idea for the doom. Now it's time to weave it into the gameplay mechanics by introducing omens and the doomsday clock. And we've got a basic division of tasks. This is what the guide does. And okay, cool. Some good advice. All right, we're gonna go ahead and leap on to the next. All right, orchestrating the omens. Omens are story fronts contributing to the advancing doom. While they may not directly cause the doom, they speed its arrival. Think of them as mini story arcs, supporting and bringing dimension to the apocalypse. Guide, start the game with 3 omens. If your doom is the escape of a demon lord hungry to consume the entire kingdom, the omens could be: the local cult is hoarding gold and gems for a secret ritual. The Lord's Council has disbanded, leaving royal defenses scant and uncoordinated. The Grey Magus has disappeared, leaving only a mysterious map. Say your doom is about the local chieftain's wedding. The omens could be: the local bard practices a truly cursed harana. The fairy queen's beloved flowers are being plucked for a wreath, earning her ire. The wedding planner is going around town inviting utterly ill-advised guests. And if your doom is about children's laughter being stolen by a miserable trickster god, omens may include: the trickster god's wife walks in the mortal realm, proclaiming herself divorced at last. Strange plants sprout throughout the village and giggle at night. The Babalian have fallen deathly ill, one by one. Like the Doom, omens are living story arcs that progress without player intervention and do not wait for action. Heroes can resolve omens to slow down the Doom. Resolution happens when they've removed its cause or have rendered the subplot's impact moot. In the above examples, they could resolve the quote-unquote local cult is hoarding gold and gems omen by defeating all cult members, stealing all valuables, convincing the cult to disarm, asking the local Kawal to intervene, or even burning down the cult's headquarters. So, okay, I like this. So basically, each omen is part of the Doom. They are not necessarily interrelated, but they are all related to the Doom. And dealing with them allows the players to slow down the Doom. So we'll see how that applies in the system. I like that. I like that. Guide. While you do not need to inform players whether they've stumbled upon an omen, you can use the setting to give clues. For example, the town crier can proclaim that something is amiss, or a villain killed the priestess and left a calling card. The same goes for resolving omens. Use the story to show that something has happened for the better. Say the villain is shackled and imprisoned in the bowels of the keep. Can omens stay active even when heroes already attempted to address it? In our example above, perhaps the heroes informed the Kawal about the situation, but told a deeply incomplete story, resulting in the guards being ill-prepared to corral the cultists. The omen can still be unresolved in this case. If the hero's approach is mismatched or significantly inadequate, the story should reflect a non-improvement. This doesn't mean the end of the world, however. Or does it? And an alternate rule for short games. For games less than 3 hours long, you can play with just 2 omens instead of 3 to keep the story lean. Cool, cool. So calm games, basically. Alright, so let's see how this works. Building the Doomsday Clock. The Doomsday Clock charts the apocalypse's inevitable approach, advancing at set time intervals. Once it reaches its end, the Doom is unleashed. The Doomsday Clock is made up of discrete intervals called moments. Its speed and number depend on how long you intend to run the game. So so here's a little chart. If you're running it for 1 session, 2 to 3 sessions, or 4 or longer. So for a single session, you want 3 moments per hour of play, and the Doom Clock advances every 30 minutes. Example, for a 4-hour session, the Doomsday Clock has 12 moments, 4 times 3, and advances every 30 minutes. 2 to 3 sessions, 1.5 per hour of play, round up, and the Doomsday Clock advances every hour. So for 3-hour sessions, the Doomsday Clock has 15 moments and advances every 30 minutes. That seems like a misprint, because they should say advances every hour. So I think that one's kind of a misprint there. Oh well. And Doom Clock advances every session for a long term. So for 7 sessions, Doomsday Clock has 11 minutes. 1.5. Okay, and advances every session. Exactly, which is what we would have seen. Oh no, the previous one would have been every hour. All right, so slight misprint there. It happens. But there is a real life time element to this Doomsday Clock. Every 30 minutes on a single session, it moves. Every time the Doomsday Clock advances, 1 moment is consumed. Then roll d6 equal to the number of omens still in play, consuming 1 more moment for every 5 or 6. When all moments are gone, the apocalypse arrives. For example, say you're playing a 1-session game. After 30 minutes of play, you advance the Doomsday Clock and consume 1 moment. If there are 3 omens left, you roll 3 dice. And if you roll 2, 5, 5, you consume 2 additional moments. If all moments are consumed, then prepare for the end. Interesting. So that's what they say about the slowing it down. That it's still coming. You can resolve all 3 omens, and the every 30 minutes or whatever, the Doomsday Clock will still advance even if you took care of all the moments, but at least you have a lot more time now. So I dig that. Or you can just try and fix one, take too long, realize you're running out of time, and just try and go straight to figuring out to fighting the Doom directly, I'm guessing. Let's see. So a simple Doomsday Clock for a single session 3-hour game. 2 moments have been consumed. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And then we've got another big sample in the appendix. Beautiful. Alternative ruling for softer risks. The Doomsday Clock has a level of unpredictability to incite a heart-racing sense of rapidly lost time. Yeah, exactly. Like, 'cause you can roll and lose more time than you think you have. You may think like, all right, Doomsday Clock happens every 30 minutes. It's 10 steps. So in theory, we have 300 minutes, which is a lot. It's like 5 hours. But every time you roll, you might just consume the equivalent of 2 hours if you get, like, you know, 5s and 6s and all 3 dice because you haven't defeated any of the dooms. Yeah, that's gonna move the clock along a lot faster. So I like that. That is a cool mechanic. However, if you seek a calmer and less fickle game, you can rule that Omen's die rolls only consume a max of 1 additional moment each time. This may also be ideal for games less than 3 hours. All right, good to know. Good to know. You can keep it a little bit more chill if you want. D. When the Doom is vanquished, through skill and teamwork, the heroes ascend as legends of the land, their names forever remembered. What happens next is up to everyone. Bask in success or face ever grander dooms. Or, Section E, when Doom vanquishes all. It is entirely possible for heroes to do their best and still fail. The Doom happens. Tears fall. Such is life. Stories, however, can live on. The state of the world may have irreversibly darkened, but it doesn't mean the tale ends. There are 3 choices. The table should decide which path to tread together. Path 1, Epilogue. You choose to accept the world's end. Allow each player to say 2 to 3 sentences describing their hero's life after the apocalypse. Once they are done, narrate an epilogue to the shared story. Have a brief moment of silence to grieve what once was. Option 2, New Beginnings. The apocalypse may have happened, but new beginnings can still flourish. Use the ruins of the world to create a sequel with heightened stakes. Because of the Doom, something else happened. Something sinister. Create this new Doom and ask the players whether they'd like to continue as their heroes or create new ones. I dig that approach. Or Rewind. You choose to rebel against destiny. Perhaps there's a second chance. Agree as a table up to what point in story time will be rewound. All heroes retain their stats, inventory, as well as memories of the fallen future. The Doomsday Clock goes back in time as well. If your game is a one-shot, restore 2 moments per hour of play left. If your game is 2 to 3 sessions, okay, so again, some guidelines there. Do not make this choice lightly. If you rewind time, decide or roll. We've got a six one, so I'll just read those. Option 1, a beloved ally turns to dust. 2, an innocent maiden kills her mother. 3, 3 pale girls rise from the dead and snake their way towards the heroes. 4, a god dies, their body flung to the world below. 5, a small humble family becomes a new plague's first victims. Or 6, a new omen comes to light. Play the game as normal, forever burdened by visions of the alter future. I like that. So this is kind of an approach. I like this because I was like, okay, if it's likely that I'm going to fail and it's going to be a sad ending, that may not be something I want to necessarily always play. But this gives you options. You can in fact end it, do an epilogue. You can start a new beginning in that same world, or there's that rewind mechanic, which I really dig. It reminds me of oh damn it, what's that anime? ReZero, where you are constantly, like, the world keeps ending and it keeps constantly getting sent back just far enough to take another stab at stopping it, and he fails again and again and again, and he keeps going, and eventually figures it's wild. Like, I mean, there's a whole regression category now of fiction, literally just regressors. That's their whole thing. So that's interesting that you can basically play regressors. Like, I would actually, that would be a brutal. Okay, let's look at the rest of this. But I just thought, like, a ReZero style campaign with more than one regressor using this mechanic would be brutal, but would be very interesting. And speaking of brutal yet interesting, we are once again getting ads. So I'm going to go ahead and run those ads real quick while I take a step away to pet my cat and make sure that the pre-rolls don't hit any new arrivals. We'll be right back. And there we go. And all right, ads should be all done. We shouldn't see those again for another half hour. Boy, those half hours do sure fly by when we're having fun. Also, I used the D20 as a bookmark. I don't know what that says about me as a person. All right, so we love this. We love... I was afraid of this section. I'm going to be honest. I was afraid of this section. I was like, what happens if you lose? I am now excited. This section that had me worried now has me excited. That is a mark. That is definitely a mark of good design in my book. Once again, Momedos continues knocking this shit right out of the park. Approved. All right, and now we get to character creation, and look at this freaking adorableness. That is so cute. I'm gonna have to read this just because the art is so cute, and also it's a different style. Look, that's a camera. This isn't just like fantasy and swords and stuff. So I'm curious what's going to happen here. Let's see. The child squirmed on her mother's lap, staring wide-eyed at the thrice-tattooed wizard. "Can you make flowers bloom pretty?" the child asked, cheeks blushing. The wizard puffed on his pipe and gave a long, languid nod. A spark of delight immediately lit the child's eyes. "I want to be like you," she blurted. "I want to be magic." The mother laughed, but the wizard just shook his head. He could not ask the child to share the same shadowed fate as him. I love it. Grim. Honestly, that rewind bit reminds me of your God Machine game with a darker spin, which is a nice touch considering the plot differences. Yes. No, like I said, it is like that kind of vibe. I love stories like that. I don't know what it is that attracts me to that. I think it's just the fact that the message that these stories tell is one of determination a lot of the time. Like, you keep falling, you keep taking the hits, but if you don't give up, the fight isn't over. And so long as the fight isn't over, you haven't lost, right? And those are, look, not every situation is gonna fit that. So you have to know when to hold them, know when to fold them. But it's nice. It's nice to have also that level. Like it resonates with me, especially given what I'm trying to do these days. It resonates with me. So I love that vibe. And honestly, again, this, like everything else so far, I'm digging. The basic mechanics, okay, cool. This is interesting. The Doomsday Clock, okay, cool. Again, I like this, and it It has its own flavor of stuff like the clock mechanics that I've seen in other games like Blades in the Dark. And clock mechanics are now spreading a lot more. Now they're almost recommended as a general gaming tool. No matter what system you're running, clocks can be brought into that system for things, and it makes perfect sense. Makes perfect sense. I actually love clock mechanics as a just general story thing, but this is its own variation. Because it is tied to real time. As real time passes, that clock is advancing. Whereas with regular clocks, well, that can be an option. With regular tabletop RPG like clock mechanics, you can have it advance automatically no matter what, but it is much more flexible. You as the GM can choose when to advance a clock. Like, let's say you have a clock that represents the guards that are chasing the party down and coming close to where their hideout is, and the party is trying to find a way to sneak or hide away or do something. And so the clock is meant to represent that they only have so much time in the city before they are pinned down. If the characters are actively running from the enemy, then that clock will not advance, or if they get some incredible rolls or do something very clever, the clock might actually go back, buying them more time. But if they go on a side quest for brisket, they decide to stop, and that's where I, as a GM, would be evil and present them with opportunities for those side quests. I would present a child that's in danger. I would present an opportunity to steal or gain something or something along those lines. But if they do that instead of actively attempting escape, then I might advance that clock an extra section because time is wasting. And that's sort of clock mechanics in a nutshell, right? The clock has X amount of sections, and you fill out sections as things happen. This has that time mechanic added into it. Cool, I get that. I love that. I love the general mechanics and everything, but like the thing that really got me was what happens when you fail. Here's that third, last, final option that you would like to consider. This just got me. Now I'm cool because with this, I know that this game is meant to be, limited, 2-3 sessions at most. Anything 4+ is its own kind of beast. But I could see a campaign. I could see this being a proper campaign. You need buy-in. You're going to need buy-in from your players, definitely. But I can see this being a campaign with the right set of players. All right, so player, speaking of which, you move the story and explore the collective world through heroes. You can play any hero you want as long as it makes sense in the setting. You can be a human, an elf, a lesser tiger demon, or a prince disguised as a pauper if it fits in the shared world. Your hero's capabilities are expressed through several aspects. Hero creation fills in these details to build a well-rounded and adept personality. Right, so this is going to be interesting, right? Because the setting in this game is literally whatever you want to make up. It gives you, right, that entire freedom to completely just make up whatever you want. You want to play a game in Toon World, you can. You want to play a game in the world of Berserk, you can. By the way, okay, digression. The editing later is going to cut this out. I don't know if any of the hundreds of thousands of viewers that I constantly have at all times are familiar with the anime and manga series Berserk. But if you are, an event just happened, honestly, outside of this. So I will try not to spoil too much in case you are not familiar with this. There is an event within Berserk, and Berserk is a very dark and edgy manga to begin with. But there is a specific event that happens about 80 chapters or so in, known as the Eclipse. And that is a chapter that breaks a lot of people. That is a chapter where the story, it's one of those chapters where the story can then be defined as before the eclipse and after the eclipse. And this sweet, kindly older gentleman, I'm no spring chicken, clearly, but this man was in his 70s, easily. He's an old man at that point, clearly. And he's got great reading comprehension. He's got great media literacy, and his daughter, I believe, his daughter, this basically introduced him to Berserk the manga, and he started reading it and he started commenting on it, and so she decided to record him on TikTok and his reactions to basically each chapter, and he's been giving a lot of background and a lot of thoughts on each one. And at first, some people knew about it, and it wasn't interesting. And it was cool to get this one guy who's, again, he's like a 70 plus something year old man who knows nothing about anime, knows nothing about this story, but is very smart and very, very interested, and kind of like showing him this story. And he's also like the sweetest old man. And he's so kind. He's precious. And then over the past few weeks, the anime community kind of realized that he was getting close to the eclipse. He was just 1 or 2 chapters away from the eclipse. And I have never seen so many people so worried for this man. So many people just say we can't stop it. It's a canon event. It's going to happen. We're just watching from the other side of the glass as this sweet old man is about to experience this thing that for all the people who have read and experienced Berserk previously was this shocking moment. And we can't stop it. We're going to see this sweet, gentle old man face this, and it was incredible. And then he read it. Then spoilers. He did in fact read it, and his reaction. He was kind of shattered, but also resolute. The words he said, which I don't want to say because spoilers. Although at this point it's long enough that anybody who knows about the eclipse knows what I'm talking about. But literally, they made a T-shirt out of the first words that he said after watching that. I'll just say, blank name of character, comma, may his name be forgotten, which was fucking brilliant. So anyway, all that to say that stories about the apocalypse and heroes facing a truly end of the world doom kind of scenario like Berserk are really good. And what happens in that eclipse is sort of like what we've seen kind of explained here, that was a doom that was reached and failed, that the heroes were unable to stop. Clearly that Berserk is not a rewind. It is, so what happens in Berserk is more of a new beginning, where the characters that we've known so far now have to continue their story in the world after the event, after the doom, after the apocalypse. And it's an amazing story. It's a brilliant story. So stories like that can be a lot of fun to tell. Is the whole point of this digression, by way of saying that this poor old man has been, we were like, there were people saying he's like 70 something. I'm not sure he can survive. Will his heart take it? It did. His heart is strong. We all here stand. The name of the account is Weeb MD. And the way I mentioned that it's the daughter recording him, because of course people are trying to spoil him and warn him. He's not on TikTok at all. This is the daughter's account, and she's been recording him. So he's not exposed. Which is the best move ever. Please protect this old man at all costs. Do not expose him. If you thought the eclipse was bad, never look at the comments. Never read the comments. So thankfully he's been protected from that. She will filter some of the comments to him. So good on that. Anyway, back to the book as we are going through character generation. So let's see how that is, because again, we can play any game, any world. So okay, so you can do a quick random hero generator. That's just a little sidebar right there. You may roll a 1d6 on every list below to quickly create a random hero. You know what? Let's do that. Let's just roll a 1d6. You would think that doing this every day, I would prepare for these streams, and yet day after day, no, I am just turning on OBS and scrambling to make sure my cameras are set up 5 minutes before stream time every single day. God damn it, dice. All right, fine. I'll pick those up in a minute. Because that's who I am as a person, once again. So those of you here on stream, those of you exposed to what's happening on screen, you are seeing the downfall of a man. This is who I am. This is what is happening. So let's go ahead and create a rando character for ARC. Your hero is AN. That's a 4. So you are a bureaucratic. All right. That's a 6 for this die. And the other one's a 1. A bureaucratic witch doctor who... That's a 3, who looks like they've seen better days. I'm feeling a bit called out at this point. And another 3. And walks on tiptoes. I'm definitely being called out here. This is me. I literally do that at home. I will walk on tiptoes. It's I believe, kind of a spectrum thing. But anyway, that I have been called out. Thank you. Every engineer. Yeah, every engineer is also being called out. Very true. Very true. It's all of us as a people. All right, so create your character. I like this. Okay, so just random ideas. Cool. To create your hero, you will determine your approach scores, assign blood and guts modifiers. I'm curious about those. Assign skill ranks, determine your inventory, answer character building questions, and determine your bonds. Every step, you have the option of randomly rolling instead of assigning a value. Cool. Cool. I like that. I like that you have that option. If you want to let's just roll, whatever. Give me a character, but I just want to play. You know? The how to play ARC section in the introduction already gave you an overview of how your hero's aspects can interact with the rules, but each step in the hero creation process also mentions how it'll be relevant in the game. Good. Good. I'm eager to see that. To check out hero creation in action, see Appendix 1. So they have a sample. Very cool. And then, hey, a little sidebar here. What if I make a terrible hero? Hey, for the min-maxers among us, you know who you are, and I know who you are because I'm one of you. What if I make a terrible hero? It's natural to feel anxious about being good enough, especially if this is your first time playing a tabletop role-playing game. Focus on having fun. That's how you win. Defeating the doom is just one part of it. Your enjoyment matters too. It's easy to worry about whether your hero is strong, cool, or interesting enough, but what matters is that you look forward to playing as them. So long as they fit in the setting and want to save the world, there are no wrong decisions. They said, and all of that is true. And all of that I deny with every fiber of my being. You can make a character wrong. It is possible to make a character that is made so poorly that it defeats the fun of the game. Even though you thought you were going to have fun, and then you realize that the mechanics you created are unplayable. And it takes the fun away. So while I agree in principle with all of this, I also, again, my min-maxy little heart denies it. And rails against it, because you can ask Dave as well. Like, he'll tell you the same thing. And this is part of why we're so focused on, like, show me the systems early on before you ask me to make any character decisions. Show me how the system works, because we have had that experience of making a character that looks like they'll be cool based on not knowing much about the system, just what is presented, and then it turns out they are unplayable. And it's not about, oh, just have fun so long as you're having fun. But I'm not having fun because this character sucks. Okay, so you see what I mean. But let's look at the system and see if it is in fact possible to make a character that sucks. Show me how to make a character that won't die too quickly. Exactly. What's my constitution score? How do I get more hit points? What gives me armor? How do I dodge? These are the questions at the core. Like, some people will go for how do I do the most damage, which is fine. It's fine. But let's be clear, especially if I'm playing in a game that I don't know how it works yet, and I think that's part of it. It's knowing, like, I've seen Dave do this as well, where if you don't know the systems, then we'll hyper focus on just like, how do I dodge? How do I take damage? How do I get more hit points? How do I get armor? Like, I don't care about anything else. As Strugglebus said, show me how to make a character that will not die immediately in the first fight. If you're not gonna explain to me the system in a quick, simple way, then just the basics that I want to know is how do I not die in this game, and I'll figure out the rest as I go. So again, I agree with all this, but also I deny it, and I deny it with every fiber of my being at the same time. I contain multitudes. Step 0, inspect the character sheet. All right, let's look at this character sheet. Before anything else, take a look at the character sheet, print version, so we can print this out. Or well, there's a print version, but yeah, you get the basics. Okay, yeah, it looks like this is cut off. So let's see. Let's actually look at the character sheet. I think there is one here. Let's see. Is there a full character sheet or not? That's going to be a problem. I mean, we're still 12 minutes away from the next ad break. So I was going to say, if we're going to go on ads, I can just get a PDF of that up. You know what? I can do that anyway. Okay, I don't see a character sheet directly here. This is only a partial one. So we're going to use a D6 as a bookmark, and you can just look at that cool book there in this very dark area. Can I turn this light back on? How's that work? Let's see. There we go, lights. There we go. So anyway, look at that book for a second, because I am going to just get the character sheet real quick for this. So no, cancel. What are you doing? Cancel. Okay, so we are looking for ARC RPG character sheet, and there we go, ARC RPG. And we'll just get that on the screen in a second. Let's see, where is the character sheet? Download, quick start rules, Doom sheet, online character sheet, print character sheet. Let's look at the print character sheet. We do have it online, which is nice, an easy to use Google sheet, but let's look at the print character sheet. Okay, cool. Let's go ahead and put this over to the side, like so. And then if I do this and I tell it to capture that, how does that look? Almost. And then we just modify. Oh, nope, that's, I mean, yes, no. Okay, so leave that and kind of just do this. And then just kind of do that. No, do, let's see, where is it? Oh, I guess that is, oh, no, actually, wait, yeah, that's what okay. There we go. That's what we needed to see. Look at that. We are making this happen. So that should be pretty visible to y'all. I hope so, because we're going to take a look. We're going to zoom in, actually, on this just a little bit more. Let's see, and we're going to just kind of move this over here so we get a better view. Okay, cool. So hopefully y'all can see that okay. We can in fact see the sheet. Excellent. And also, catching up with chat real quick, you can roleplay a lot of things. You cannot mechanically survive in the game by using your charming personality. The dice will screw you. Exactly. You, myself, Dave, and many others, many of our ilk have experienced that particular pain. So let's look at this character sheet. A hero rises to save the world, thus named, and here's the name, the player name, pronouns. You get a portrait. So your blood and your guts. So you start with 2d6 blood, 2d6 guts. You add your modifiers. You get them, and that's your max blood, max guts, and you track them. Cool. You got a creative. Okay, so these are your approaches: creative, careful, and concerted. And then your skills. So these are your approaches, these are your skills, create. Oh, interesting. Look at that. So you have the knowledge, and then you have quick examples here of the kinds of things that you can, the kinds of things you can do to have an approach match a knowledge skill. So for example, a careful approach would be to assess, inquire, analyze, while a concerted approach for knowledge would be recall, memorize, restore, and a creative would be theorize, shift, make logical connections. I like this. And the same thing with social. Creative would be charm, insight, and inspire. Careful, reason, detail, and guide. Concerted, intimidate, and enforce. Interesting. Physical, create, bedazzle, careful, assess, be safe, be calm, follow guidelines, concerted, charge, endure, overwhelm, pragmatic skills, prowess skill. Okay, so prowess, I'm curious. So prowess is interesting. Explore, expand, and create for creative. Careful, sense, attune, and investigate. Assail, subsist, or give all. In Arcana and Focuses. These sound like they'll be interesting. Arcana and Focus probably are magics, so I hope we'll get to look more at those later. There we go. What makes them different? 3 rumors about your character. The most painful lesson, your bonds, and a tracker for those bonds. Your XP, your inventory, and a quick character, a quick reference, which I like. I like that that's included technically as the second side of a character sheet. So this is something that you could, if you printed them two-sided, if you're willing to spend the money on color printer, great. If you're doing this for a con, though, but even for just regular tables, I like that there's a quick reference character sheet or a quick reference sheet on the back of your character sheet. Character themselves, pretty straightforward. Stats, skills, stuff, XP, connections. Cool. I like that. I like that. All that done, and we are back to our previous setup. So let's see here. Let's continue. We have done what it said to do. We have inspected the character sheet. I am so proud of us. I'm so proud of us. We are doing the thing. Quick hydration. Quick ref is really nice. I'd argue you print the color copies for a con. You just try to get the sheets back and show up with plenty of extras. Yeah, yep. Oh, one thing I've seen is they'll just do like, they'll laminate them and then just do like, quick erase or dry erase markers. The problem with dry erase, well, no, actually, no, there are like fine tip dry erase markers, but I've seen those too. So that's usually one way to handle it. The only problem is that even the thin tip dry erase are still pretty thick. In most character sheets want you to fit a lot of text into some very small spaces. But for keeping track of like basic scores and marking down levels of skills, yeah, that's totally doable. And it saves you having to reprint. And then you can get away with color. All right, step 1 to actual character creation. So we're going to determine our approach score. So we've seen our 3 approaches. Approaches are creative, careful, and concerted. And they give you a little information. We're going to kind of skip through some of this. I'm going to try and not read every single word. So yeah, that's the top tier con game sheet, and you can clean them. Exactly. Yeah, you know you're dealing with somebody who's taking this game seriously if they came with pre-printed, full color, laminated character sheets with dry erase markers for you. That is like a top tier. That's what I aspire to be. Right now, I'm more of a Xerox black and white sheet. If not just like, oh shit, let me just tear some papers out of my notebook and just hand them around the table. So I'm still getting there. Okay, so we've got our basic descriptions of what the approaches are. So skills using a creative approach are performed in interesting, unusual, and surprising ways. Cleverness also applies. Careful approach utilizes close attention to detail, analyzing variables, and ensuring the action. And concerted approach exemplify effort, grit, and willpower. Cool, cool. Each has a score ranging from 0 to +3. +0 means no aptitude, +1 is average, +2 is gifted, and +3 is expert in each approach. Cool. So how do we, I'm guessing step 2, here we go, okay. Approach scores determine how well your hero performs in action. Your hero's approach score plus or ranks in a relevant skill set a threshold number, we've seen that before, for a given task. You roll 1d6 hoping for a result under the threshold. This means the higher the threshold number, the easier it is to succeed. Yep, that checks out. Consequently, higher approach scores are better. If you have a +3 in an approach, that means you'll still succeed at a task half the time, even if you have no aptitude in the skill, which is solid. Approach scores can also mean life or death for your hero. If all approach scores become 0, your hero falls. Ooh, so the approach scores apparently will change. See Chapter 3, Life, Death, and Naps for what happens next. Approach scores can also be increased during play. See Chapter 3, Evolving Your Hero. Ah, okay. All right, so this is how we determine them. You start with a +0, a +1, and a +2, and you just assign them. And there is a mechanic for randomly determine this, which means if you're willing to take those that chance, you might get some +3s instead of just +0s, +1s, and +2s. So cool. Oh, and if you roll poorly, so hey Dave, if the maximum number of points you have to distribute is only one, don't worry, you'll receive extra inventory items as consolation. Okay, next step is going to be blood and guts modifiers, and I'm real curious about those, but I just got the alert that it is ad time again. It's been another half hour. Time really does fly by, and I'm just going to go ahead and run a minute and 30 seconds of ads real quick to keep the pre-rolls away because I am allergic to that shit. So be right back. But Dan, you ask, do these ad breaks give you any money? I'm guessing not. I think I do technically get a cut, but I think I would need to have an actual sizable audience for whatever cut I get to matter. So I'm just trying to save y'all from, at least keep this so you don't miss any of this brilliant material that I am providing during the ads. The best I can do is try and bat them away. I would give the usual, well, if you don't like ads, just subscribe, but I mean, why would you? Why would you? I mean, maybe eventually. Once there's enough of you out there, I will hit you up for money. Right now, please do not give me your money. Or do, I guess, if you have too much to spare. I'm not going to say now. Anyway, step 2, we're down to Blood and Guts, and I've been excited about Blood and Guts in this game since I first heard about them several pages ago. We are going to see what that's about, because it sounds like it is, based on that character sheet that we saw, they sound like it's kind of your hit points, but let's see. So Blood is the hero's ability, yeah, it is hit points. Physical harm and mental or social harm. So Blood is reduced to 0 or less, the next damage it receives reduces approach scores. Oh, okay. And same thing, so there are 2, so you have 2 hit points, 2 points. Honestly, appreciate the pause for ads, as ads are inevitable. Pirate Software does something similar, of which I think you're, yeah. I don't really watch Pirate Software streams. I've seen him. I've actually seen him more on YouTube than here on Twitch, although I know he's there. I actually just recently followed him because I do keep meaning to watch some of his streams. But yes, no, I did see how he handled that, and yeah, I'm trying something similar. And again, it's also just a built-in excuse for me to just take a moment, take a breath, drink some water, pet the cat, and then come back. So I don't mind it too much. I can see it being more annoying during, say, video game sessions, where it might be a little bit harder to pause if you're in the middle of like an intense scene. At that point, you're like, well, I'm sorry, man. Like, if I would like to keep the ads away, but like we're in the middle of a game. Sorry, subscribe if you like. So I get it. But like, yeah, while I'm doing these, it's easy enough to just do a quick pause, right? So good enough. And yeah, solo games, that's pretty easy. Live service online is harder. It's true, it's true. But also, even with solo games, I mean, that's why they give you a 5-minute warning, right? So you have time, even if you're in the middle of, like, again, unless you're like in a huge Elden Ring, like 15-minute boss battle or something. But yeah, otherwise, like with the 5-minute heads up, so long as you see it in time, you're like, okay, cool, we can get to a save point or get to something real quick and then take a break. So I do like that. I do like that aspect. Like, hey, look, ads are a reality, but here's a way to kind of at least minimize that annoyance. So yeah. That's cool. I never really had to deal with it before so much. I don't think these tools even existed like when I was streaming more regularly, literally 2 years ago. I didn't realize it had been that much time, which is why like a lot of the people that I used to hang out here, they're long gone. They're long gone. And I don't blame them. Also, I'm a different kind of streamer right now. I'm doing this. I still do a little video gaming, but it's mostly this. So it's a different crowd. It'll take a while for my people, the people, my people, our people, to find us here. But if we keep it up, we'll see. Blood and guts are your hit points. Cool. So I see that once you lose them, that's because I was wondering, like they specifically mentioned that your approaches might go down, and if they go down, that's when you die. So that's how that happens. You've got your blood, you've got your guts as your hit points. When they go down, then you start taking like permanent approach score damage. Blood and guts can vary from day to day. When your hero wakes up from a long rest, a break taking 5 real-time minutes, and up to 10 in-story hours. Interesting. So a long rest, and you have to count. You have to like set. Okay, so we're long resting. We're using up 5 real-life minutes. Interesting. I kind of dig that. You have the option of rolling for their new blood and guts for the rest of the day. 2d6 plus a modifier determined during hero creation. If you choose not to roll, they simply gain a small amount of health back. Interesting. Say your hero has 15 blood and 6 guts from the previous day. If you choose to re-roll, you roll 2d6 each for blood and guts and then add their modifiers to individual results. If you roll a total of 12 and 10 for blood and guts, for example, it overrides the current health and becomes your hero's new health stats. Interesting, but you start each day. So you can start a day. Like if your modifier is I don't know what the modifiers are though. I'm guessing probably in the next page. But like if your modifier is like say 3 and you roll 2, then for that day you only have 5 blood. But then if you roll a 12 and add 3, then that day you actually have 15. Like that's kind of wild that those numbers can fluctuate from day to day. It explains why we saw that 2d6 thing. And yeah, consistency is key. Cities were built in a day. It's true. It's true. I actually just spoke to a few folks about that, and it really is like, hey, look, man, this is the build-up phase. This is the just do the thing over and over, create the content, show up day after day, improve your skills bit by bit, and just kind of just keep doing it until it either works or it doesn't. That's kind of how this goes. So. I'm going to keep doing it until it either works or it doesn't. Okay, so modifiers for blood and guts do not have to be the same. They can be increased during play, but you'll set its starting value now. Okay, so their sum is 6, minimum plus 0. So you can have plus 6 guts or plus 6 blood, depending if you want to be physically or mentally tougher and where you want the bulk of your stuff to do. But then if you leave something at plus 0, there's a solid chance that you'll have a score of 2 on that one day. So that's kind of wild. To randomly determine your base blood and guts, roll 1d6 and roll again. Yep. If the sum of both modifiers is less than 3, you'll receive extra inventory items to make up for it. I'm curious if extra inventory items really do make up for it. I wonder what the mechanics are around those. But that's really, I don't know how I feel about the blood and guts mechanic. I think that's meant to symbolize something. It's not just a mechanic for a mechanic's sake. Because, okay, so here's another Pan to Dan sidebar / rant. I don't mind the sun one day, the image that it shows. I don't mind the weird mechanics. I'm not entirely opposed to it, even though I am a little opposed to it. I don't know how I feel about this. I think it's interesting, but I hate the idea of waking up one day with 2 hit points when the day before I had 12. for no reason. Although then again, maybe the reason I don't like it is because being over 40, some days you wake up with 2 hit points. Some days you wake up with 12 for no reason other than, I guess, I slept wrong. They didn't know I could take hit points damage from sleeping. But as you get older, turns out it's a thing. So that's also why I don't like that, because it's like, oh, come on, man, I'm supposed to be a hero. Don't make me feel like I feel in real life. But I feel like this is meant, if it's meant to symbolize that, if it's meant to symbolize, how can I put this? With tabletop RPGs, I feel like there is a certain level of tell, don't show in them that kind of has to happen, especially with the mechanics. Sometimes a mechanic is meant to symbolize a specific thing within the game, and I feel like it's important to actually spell out what it's meant to symbolize to avoid people like me who will come in and go like, but why? Why is this? Why is it that this changes? Why can I not just have a hit point score that is my score? Why is this variable? And if that's meant to symbolize that some days you just have more spoons than others, or something else, spell that out. Because then at least I go like, oh, okay, I see what you're doing there. I see why this happens in the game. Why is this mechanic in the game? Oh, because it symbolizes that. Sometimes it's real obvious what it's meant to symbolize, and so you don't have to go into depth on it. But here I'm not clear on what that, if it symbolizes anything, or if it's just an interesting mechanic for the sake of being an interesting mechanic, right? I'm not sure what's happening here with this, and I think that's why it's leaving me a little cold. Like, it's interesting, but it's not, it doesn't sit quite right with me, which, oh well. All right. Step 3, assign your skill ranks. Okay, so now we get your skills and your ranks. So we've got some example skills, and okay, we're not going to touch all of these. We're just going to look at a couple sample ones. So within knowledge skills, let's look at academics, one of the most basic ones. Pursuit of formal knowledge, primarily scientific or historical in nature, and some sample applications for each one, such as recalling pre-colonial Orcish history, theorizing a scientific principle, understanding formal chemistry. Cool. Let's look at some of the social skills, like charisma, appealing or approachable charm with a penchant for smooth talk, humor, and wit, convincing the witch to join your cause through eloquent argument, flattering the errant knight's sense of justice, mediating between warring kings with a winning smile. Good stuff, good stuff. And then we've got physical skills. So quick example is classic acrobatics, dynamic balance, gymnastics, or other incredible and immediate feats or agility, such as somersaults, jumping from a tree to another, balancing on a precarious ledge. Okay, we know what that is. Now we got the pragmatic skills. Pragmatic skills are artistry, tinker, survival, and trade, right? Those 4, yeah. Okay, so let's look at tinker. Engineering expertise over mechanical, clockwork devices, schema, and structure. So this is interesting. So, okay, I actually do want to look at the lists a little closer. Oh, I guess we saw those in the character sheet, but I want to take a closer look because, again, we've got a system that is trying in its own way to be everything to everyone. Because you're supposed to be able to play, it's meant to be kind of universal. Like, the setting is 100% wide open for you. Other than the fact that there is a doom coming. You can play future, past, fantasy, sci-fi, whatever you want. So that can be a little bit tricky to deliver skills that can cover basically any genre, right? So they need to be very generic, which can be a pro and a con, right? Because that means they're applicable to everything, but they might lack some flavor, you know? Like part of the fun part about stuff like in previous games, like Gun and Slinger. Gun and Slinger take some of the stuff that the gun does, right? Their magic is specifically defined by these runes. The gun doesn't have a generic observe skill or a guile skill or whatever, they have a general sort of like approach skill, kind of like more similar to that, like wide open approaches. But the mechanic stuff that they do have is very thematic. It's very thematic to the world and the character and everything else. Here, because of the need to be generic, these skills are also very generic and have to cover what was it, that Tinker. Tinker needs to cover everything from in full-on engineering and schema and stuff to clockwork devices, jury rigging, creating traps. Like, it has to cover a lot of ground because this needs to be... Tinker is what you're going to roll to, say, create a bow and arrow out of the raw materials, but in one setting, and it's going to be what you use to fix a starship engine in a different one. So that is both a pro and a con, right? It's a pro in that, okay, this system kind of feels, and here's where it kind of gets a little bit weird, the pragmatic skills like artistry, Tinker, so artistry, crafting, design, painting, or other creative. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. I like that. But again, they're very sort of generic. Acrobatics, coordination, physique, and weaponry. And then prowess. Prowess is where the one place where it gets a little more unique because these look like the magic stats. Arcana is recalling lore, sensing spirits, channel magic, and there's a whole chapter on spells, which we'll get to, and techniques. Okay, so Arcana looks like this. Look like MP. This looks like SP. Arcana is magic. Focus is monk moves. Parkour. That's what we're looking here. But also like resisting distraction, pushing the body system. Yeah. And then skills have ranks. 0 to 3 is normal. +1 is average. +2 is gifted. +3 is expert. Yada yada yada. Okay, so you'll get to start with +2 on 2 skills and +1 to 3 skills. Cool. Or you can randomly determine. Cool. And first die, second die, random. Oh, it's a random skill stable. Wait a minute. I almost glossed over that. Randomly Oh, so this is randomly not just the ranks, but just everything. Your rolls. You can either roll 2d6. Distribute that many skill ranks to any skills of your choice. You can also use the list on the next page to randomly assign skill ranks by rolling 1d6 twice in order. If you roll +2 skill when you only have 1 skill point remaining, the skill becomes a +1. Okay, so for example, we would roll a 1 and a 4, which would give us a +2 tactics. We would also roll a... How many times do they want us to roll? Oh, just until you run out of points. So you start with, how many points did they tell you to start with? Oh, roll 2d6. So first, okay, so roll 2d6 first. So let's start over. So 4 and 6. Wow, nice. So 10 points to distribute. Cool. So the first set we get, so 6 and 3. Let's do this. 6 and 3. So we start with +1 Tinker, and we're down to 9 points. 2 and 2 is a +2 to Insight. And that gives us leaves us with 7 points. 2 and 6 gives us a +2 to weaponry, leaves us with 5 points. A 5 and a 6 is another +1 to weaponry. So I'm just going to make weaponry a +3. Damn, I made a fighter. 5 and 3 is a +1 to acrobatics. So we were down to 5, 4, 2. So we're down to 3. A 3 and a 6 is +2 focus. So we're down to 1 point. And 1 and 5. +2 to charisma, but we only have 1 point left, so +1 to charisma. And we just created a bunch of skills. Interesting. So there's a way to randomly generate. I like that. I dig that. All right, inventory. Let's see if it lives up to the semi-hype that it's gotten as a hopefully acceptable replacement for absolutely dismal skill or approach scores. Let's see. The amount of roll for character backgrounds and stats is starting to give me Traveler vibes. Oh, no, my friend. We would need to go a lot further to get proper Traveler vibes. But also, there's a lot of games that like... Traveler has been in its own way very. I mean, it's not in its own way. It's been very influential in the industry historically, but also recently, I've noticed more and more games do that. They give you a lot of tables and stuff that you can use. Like there's still the option, like you can just make it yourself. But they do. There is more and more of a movement to provide these ways to just randomly generate everything, characters, world, all that stuff, more and more in a lot of indie games. I've seen that, and I don't mind it. I'm not opposed to it. I kind of like, especially honestly for our groups. Sometimes on a given Saturday, we'll sit down and we're like, we want to play something. We have to play something. The buffer is low. We got to record something. And sometimes these games where you just get to just make a few rolls and a few tables and boom, okay, there's a setting, there's some NPCs, there's some characters, let's fucking go. We appreciate that. We appreciate that. Sure, but I don't think I've seen you die and charge in any other. It's just true. Not a lot of those. I actually saw a video recently, I think it was on TikTok, that somebody was talking about sort of the system, the character generation system in Traveler. And of course, you know, a TikTok video is not nearly enough to cover it properly. But they did sort of show that's like, yeah, you basically just, you're generating a life path for your character. You're generating their entire background and history and what they've been through. And yeah, it kind of showed like, and you can just like keep rolling. And if you get the certain sets of results, your character can die in action. And certain things will represent that, but also like it's possible to just kind of age out and just roll through your entire character's career and life, and then roll right back out of it into retirement and death in old age. And it's like, well, that was kind of a waste of time. So I think that may be a little bit more than absolutely strictly necessary. All right, so let's take a look at this inventory and see how it treats us. Your inventory contains useful items for creating opportunities and capabilities for your hero. Surviving a cold night in the wilderness, for example, is much easier with a tent and a flint and tinder to make fire. You may also have powerful abilities such as spells and techniques in your inventory. Interesting, spells and techniques in your inventory. There are 5 categories from which you may obtain starting items. So the categories are damage and defense, supplies and sundries, oddities and valuables, spells, and techniques. Each category is represented by a numbered list of items. Hey, more lists! The number being that item's point value. Oh, wait. Okay, point value. So there's some of your hero's inventory. Choose items from any list totaling no more than 30 points. To randomly determine your hero's inventory, pick a list and choose whether you roll 1d6, 2d6, or 3d6 on it. Add the resulting item to your inventory. Do this multiple times. You may roll multiple lists until you've rolled a total of 12d6. Interesting. You have an inventory of rolls to spend. You may roll more than once on a particular list. For example, you can roll 3d6 twice on the techniques list and 2d6 thrice on the oddities list, as long as the total number of dice rolled is 12. Cool. Interesting. All right, and another valid combinations: 3d6 thrice on the spells list, 2d6 once on the technique list, no, 1d6 once on the damage and defense list for a total of 5 items, or 3d6 once on the supplies and sundries, 2d6 twice on the oddities and valuables, and 1d6 5 times on the techniques for a list for a total of 8 items, or 2d6 6 times in the oddities and valuables list for 6 total items. So interesting. This is very, balance is not, I mean, there is some level of balance because there is a certain level of points, but also enough randomness in a 2d6 roll. No, but okay, once we see those lists, I wonder if that means... No, because this is the number of points. It's not the number, right? Is this... Add the resulting item. No, so you just roll for its place in the list. It looks like, well, we'll get to the list soon enough. Interesting. I like that. I do like that. I do like that. You may have more than one instance of the same item with the exception of guts damage and guts defense items. Okay, extra items. Each time any of the following is true, add 9 points to your pool. Oh, point values, or 3d6 to your dice pool if you're rolling for extra items. If the sum of your approach, okay, so this is your bennies if your approaches or other stuff suck. So if your approach scores is 1, if the sum of your modifiers for Blood and Guts is less than 3, less than or equals 3, or if the sum of your skill ranks is less than or equal than 4, Then for each one of those, add 9 points or 3d6 dice to the pool if you're rolling. Okay, so that's your. I mean, at that point you've rolled poorly. Here's a little something to keep you alive. All right, so what does this mean? For example, the sum of your heroes' approach scores is 1, and the sum of their skill ranks is 3. They have 18 additional points for 6 or 66 additional dice. So there is an in-game reason to have sucky scores, I guess. So let's see. Let's look at what the items actually let you do, what it means, right? So there are a list of 18. So those are the points that they cost for each item. So let's look at list 1, damage and defense. So damage items provide bonuses to damage whenever you attack a creature. Meanwhile, defense items reduce damage and also make it harder for you to be hit. A +0 item is next to useless, +1 is average, +2. You may only have 1 instance of any particular guts damage or guts defense items. You can't have 2 instances of critical thinking, for example. Oh, so these items, quote unquote, are also can also just be things. That's why spells and techniques. Interesting. It's weird to refer to them as items. See, like stuff like memories of hardship or critical thinking, while still a sturdy sword and a crossbow. Yeah. So okay. So then the extremes, which is because you're rolling 3d6 if you were ever going to get that. So like that 3. Oh, no, that's not great. 1, 4, and 1. That's a 6. Like a 6 would be a well-grounded education, +1 guts damage. While if I will roll again, another 3d6, so 6, 6, 6! Holy shit, it happened on camera! You saw it live! You saw it happen live right now. You get a good education and a flaming sword +3 blood damage. Jesus. Alright, I'm just going to roll twice with 3d6 on every table and see how that goes. I don't think I have a clip thing, but I might be able to clip myself. Give me a second. Can I do this? I think I might be. That might be. I might have just hit the right clip button. I don't know. I hit a button. I hope that was the clip button. We'll see. Anyway, let's look in supplies and sundries. So supplies and sundries help you explore and last longer in the adventure. Okay, so these don't have specific, blood defense and guts defense or whatever damage. They're just items. Let's roll 3d6 3 times and see how that goes. So 4, 2, and 3 is 9. So with a 9, we get some traps and animal bait. Cool. And then 4, 6, and 2. That's 12. A 12 gets you a 2-person tent and a shovel, so it sounds like you're doing a lot of camping. You're living off the land here with your flaming sword +3. Let's see. Oddities and valuables. All right, we'll roll twice on that one as well. Oddities and valuables are exactly what it says on the tin. Strange, fantastical, yet oftentimes high-value items. Some may be magical in nature, so let's see what we get. Oop, that's a 6. That's another 6. Are we back on it? No, okay, 5. Almost, though. 17. A handful of constantly regenerating troll flesh. It's edible, but the flavor is atrocious. Ew. Thank you for that, dice. Ew. 4, 1, 3. That is a 8. An 8 gives us a heavy crown with an oppressive aura. I'm going to roll a third time. Any table that says oddities is going to get a third roll from me. 3, 3, 5. So that's 11. The pet turtle of a local tyrant. I dig that one. I like it. I like it. All right, now we get to lists 4 and 5. Spells and techniques. Always dear and near to my heart. We're going to get ads very soon. It's still, ads are 5 minutes and 20 seconds. So let's get through this page and then we might be doing ads yet again. Boy, time sure does fly. How long have we been going? Just over 2 hours. Not bad. We're making, okay, we're halfway through the book. But there may be parts, again, usually we skip through a lot of the, yeah, like there's parts that we might skip. We might make it in a single stream. We might. Let's make it through this page first, and then we'll once again just deal with the ads. So list 4 and 5, spells and techniques are rare and priceless special powers beyond normal hero skill. Spells are directly linked to the arcana and represent the manipulation of unreality beyond mortals' comprehension. Techniques are directly linked to focus, representing the hero's personal willpower and spirit. Arcana manipulates the external world, focus channels the internal. Multiple instances of a spell or technique indicate how many times it may be cast. Interesting. For example, with 2 instances of a spell, you can cast it twice before needing replenishment. Replenishing requires a ritual and restores all instances of spell or technique. For example, if at any point you've held a maximum of 3 instances of a technique and you perform its ritual, all 3 instances are restored. Rituals can be as mundane as sleeping all day or as strange as burying fingernails. Information about enhancements, rituals, plus details on each spell and technique are found in Chapter 4. We will get to Chapter 4 soon. But first, we'll have some lists. Oh, no, okay. We're going to run the ads real quick. I'm going to use a die as a bookmark yet again. I'm going to run those ads really quick so that then we can focus on those lists. So I will be right back as always. And be right back. All right, we are back. Ads are done, and I got a little alert saying that the next ads, I guess I've run enough ads that the next ones will be reduced by 1 minute and 30 seconds, considering that is how long they normally last. I wonder if it means we get to skip the next set. Either way, if any new people show up, apologies for that, but you get no preview ads, no pre-roll ads. That may or may not be considered a punishment, depending on how you feel about my face. But yeah, interesting. I don't know. I still don't understand how this whole ad thing works. Anyway, back to the book, because we got some tables to roll on. Fuck yeah. Let's fucking go. Oh, wait, there's 24. So how am I supposed to roll on these? I don't think you're supposed to roll on these. Yeah, with 24 entries, there is no D24. Right? 46? 46 would be maybe 6 times 4 is 24, right? So I guess 46 could work. Huh. That's no, because it's a 1 through 24. No, it would have to be a D24. So, but yeah, because these other ones. Oh, okay. So stuff like I was never going to get some of the 1, 2, 3s in this one, like a seashell horn or the bottom half of a dead donkey, or some shrunken monkey heads, because I was rolling too many. Okay, so in this case, let's just look at a couple ones. So stuff like Trinket, minor magical effects certain to delight anyone, and Trick of the Light, mold light like water, creating auras and illusions. To stuff like Lifebringer, wounds can be healed, unmask the self, know the name and hidden desire of any one being you see. Keep going, Master of Elements, air, earth, water, and fire, manipulated by your own will. Little escapologist, appear from sight, keep going further. Manic hands, arms and hands burst forth from your face, allowing more actions. Okay, keep going. Spirit Pact, you summon a spirit as your ethereal servant. From dust to dust, craft anything you've seen from a handful of dust. Or true miracle, bring your wish to reality. Cool. Cool. I'm going to say you don't get that one at level 1 at the beginning of the adventure. And then techniques, some of the examples here. So only ones who know. Either everybody knows about your action or nobody does. Interesting. Weave through water, walk or breathe through water, memory seeding, plants of faults. Okay, so these are not really like, the spells almost feel like they go from less powerful to more powerful. And I guess so do the abilities, because look at some of these later ones, like Nether Wave, Pulse of Energy so strong it knocks everyone off their feet. The Fate Rewind Time, hold off the doom. While at the beginning, it's more like breathe through water, implant a false memory, move fast, very fast. And then near the middle, Deadly Focus, double your damage. Your damage ignores armor and defense. Or Turn the Tide, every action you take brings opportunity. Nullify the effects of a spell or technique. This spell, interesting. Fluorescent Transcendence, enhance all spells and techniques for a brief moment. Some interesting stuff in here. Interesting stuff. I'm eager to get to chapter 4 and dig a little deeper into those. Alright, we continue with character generation. Step 5, answer character building questions. What makes them different from others? There are 3 rumors. Okay, those were in the character sheet. And what's the most painful lesson your hero had to learn? Then your bonds. Bonds represent the two heroes' relationship visualized through quadrants and boxes. Accruing bond fills a quadrant, also called a minor level. Every box that gets filled represents a major level of bond. Doom forges bonds of steel for those who have suffered its fire and fury. Alright, and you get all the levels of bond. Having deeper levels of bond is helpful, however they can be asymmetric. Your hero might be willing to die for a character not so keen on reciprocity. That checks out. When you assist someone in their skill check, you make their roll easier by a number equal to your major levels of bond with them. Oh, so the higher your bond, the more you can help other people in your party. I like that mechanical thing. You may also sacrifice one or more minor levels to allow skill check rerolls. Interesting. Alright, bonds can be increased during play whenever your hero does any of the following: accepting an inconvenience or an ally, or accepting harm or serious risk. Making a permanently life-changing or greatly difficult personal choice or likely fatal sacrifice for others adds +4 minor levels of bond. It's the only way to fill up that third box. Cool. And then there's a way to determine your bonds. Explain and where they come from. Okay, cool. I like this. Basic mechanics. Good stuff. Let's see. And done! That's it. You've created a hero. Your last step is writing it all down on your character sheet. Now your hero is ready for an adventure. Stronger heroes. By default, hero creation results in ordinary beginning adventures, not world-bending warriors. In other tabletop games, this is called quote-unquote low level. However, the guide may choose to award heroes bonus experience points so they may have additional distinctions and capabilities. If the guide wishes the heroes to be experienced at adventuring, they may award 15 XP to each of them. For a game with veterans, 30 XP. Alright, cool. So there's a way to start a little bit more powerful. And hey, Himang, welcome in, buddy, over on YouTube. Right, this book, look at this. Look at this. This looks super cool. Thanks so much, as always, for coming by, saying hi on the streams, man. Really appreciate that. All right. So, and again, we love the art in this book. It's kind of like an Oni kind of character. All right. So, all right. Now we're into the core rules. We already saw the basic resolution mechanic way back at the beginning, right here, and how do we play, and we've gotten a little bit more visibility on it as we've seen the stats for the characters and how you determine them. So now that we have a little bit more grasp on that, let's look at what we've got for the actual system. So again, always admire the art, even if the shine makes it difficult sometimes. I love that, sort of like the brave hero facing the snake, the serpent in the tree, the ghost snake. All right, so rules. Again, I love this art. The design on this game, on this book, is so gorgeous. All right, so at set intervals, the Doomsday Clock advances, heralding the end. We've gotten that. We established that early on. Skill checks determine the success of risky actions. You need to go over the threshold number. So it's just going once again for the basic mechanics, but we're already getting a few things, a few extra things. So roll TN and succeed above, rolls below the target, the threshold number succeed, and above it fail. For ties, choose either succeed. Oh! So that's how you get a success with consequence or a fail with opportunity, by matching your threshold number exactly. Interesting. And then if you roll the 1 with a ranked skill, roll another one. So 1 is kind of a critical apparently. Roll another 1d6. If it's also a 1, your result is flawless and becomes a success with opportunity. And you can sacrifice 3 blood or 3 guts to upgrade a tied or failed result. Oh! Okay, so wait, let me see. Doesn't say here. Maybe we'll see it in the examples. But the way this reads to me is that you upgrade a tied or failed. So if you fail, you can spend either 3 blood or 3 guts and upgrade it to a tied. At which point then you succeed, whether it's a success with consequence or a fail with opportunity. But if you got that success with opportunity or fail with consequence, a tie, and you want it to be a full success, you can also just spend the blood or the guts and then upgrade it to a full success. I dig that. I do like systems that give the characters some kind of currency to be able to do that when it really matters. Because sometimes characters will go like, I don't care that I rolled poorly, that I just barely made it or whatever. I need to succeed and I'm willing to push. And that mechanic being there, yeah, cool. I approve of that. Let's see. Assisting someone helps their skill check before they roll all major levels of bond. Okay, yeah, so we saw that. The bonds can assist people. We like that. And then conflict. Conflicts are fights or altercations where action sequence matters, and it's determined by what each character plans to do. Initiative category. Oh, so in initiative, you first say, okay, character standing around, then those taking non-harmful actions, and those attacking others, those using spells or techniques, and those moving fast. 2 or more heights, right? Heroes can move up to 2 heights, and again, we did establish it early on that they measure, the distance measurements in this game are measured by heights. A height is about the average height of a person, so anywhere between 5 or 6 feet is a measurement, so that's how much each character can freely move during their turn. Stacking advantages helps improve others' skills checks. Skill check TN, if attacking others, damage equals the TN of the attack plus any bonus from damage items. TN is reduced by the defense bonus of the target's armor plus an applicable difficulty modifier. Okay. So a weak target, a weak enemy will have a high TN because you're trying to roll under the TN, so higher TN makes it easier, and also you would do more damage. So let's go with that flaming sword plus 3 that we had before. If your TN to hit that enemy is, say, 4, then if you roll a 4 or less, you hit, and your damage would be the TN itself, 4 plus 3 from your flaming sword, so 7 damage. However, if you had rolled a 1 on that roll, well, a 1 is still a good success. No, let's say you're attacking a different enemy, one with thick armor now. Thick armor with 2 Cs. And their TN is 2. They are much harder to harm. If you roll and you hit with a 2 or less, then you would do 2 damage. So it's only harder to hit. You do less damage. Their armor and their difficulty is harder to get through. And then you add in the damage from your weapon. So that's an interesting approach. Enemies that are harder to damage, it goes in all directions. I don't know. That's going to scale. That's going to scale hard. Because not only are you doing less damage, but you're hitting substantially less often. So I feel like that's almost an exponential raise in difficulty from a TN4 enemy to a TN2 enemy. But that's interesting. Well, I mean, we'll see what the enemies look like once we get to that section as well. Let's see. If blood or guts becomes 0 or less, the hero still lives, but then you take damage to your approach. You recover blood and guts by a short rests or long rests. Cool. Heroes can only rest in safe places away from enemies, and XP can be spent to improve all this stuff. Cool. Like it. No problem there. Let's see. Rules. Rules help provide a consistent and rewarding experience. Yeah, okay, cool. We know what rules are in the tabletop RPG. We get it. Again, intros for the people that don't know, but we get it. Skill checks. Heroes in ARC move the story forward by interacting with the world around them, yada, yada, yada. Example, sneaking past a troll, what do? Well, creative plus tinker to jury-rig clockwork distractions, or careful plus coordination to move past with quiet, stealthy movement, or concerted plus culture to recall that trolls have poor eyesight. So I like this. You know, figure out, tell me what you want to do. We'll figure out the stats for it. We'll figure out what to roll for it. This combination of approach and skill is very common. It's very common. The Fate Accelerated does it. So yeah, this is common. This is pretty understandable. I like that we have this. Oh, that's Amazon delivering something downstairs. They can just drop it downstairs. I'll pick it up in a minute. I'll pick it up during the next ad break. Yeah, we got this little table of like what it looks like. We saw that in the character sheet. They did actually have this included in the character sheet, which is great. But we have this little table here that shows you what it created, what each approach looks like with each set of skills. Solid. I like that. The sum of your skill ranks and approach score determines the threshold number. A higher TN is better and reflects how achievable the task is for your hero. Going over the threshold is bad. So same thing with the skills that you're going. So the higher your skill and the higher your approach, the easier. I mean, in this case, damage doesn't matter that much because it's just a thing. But again, it seems exponentially easier. I think so. Well, again, it's like World of Darkness. Like lowering or raising the difficulty is a bigger shift, and scales differently than just adding or removing dice from a pool, and leaving the difficulty of the roll the same. Since you're shifting the difficulty of the roll, you're changing the TN. It makes sense. The higher your TN, the much more likely you are to succeed. Although again, it's a D6, so the spread isn't that huge, but. Okay, cool. I'm fine with that. I like it. Difficulty modifier. Before you roll, the TN may be modified by the guide. Okay, and then the guide can modify the TNs. Okay, so the default difficulties is your sum of your skill and approach, and then the GM can mess with that as needed. Makes sense, and there's some guidelines on how to do it. So again, the bulk of tasks will get nothing. And then you got easy, difficult, very difficult, staggeringly difficult, or impossibly difficult. All right, cool. And then assistance. So we already seen some info on the assistance. Somebody can help depending on your level of bond. That's going to modify. It's going to change. And then we've got a little example here. In summary, the TN is equal to the sum of the hero's rank. Okay, so that's just how to determine the TN. Cool. We captured that. We got that. Again, all of this so far so good. I'm kind of skipping through it because it seems to me very clearly well explained. It's got some examples. It's a mechanic that we understand overall. So far so good. I like these mechanics. They're pretty straightforward. I would as always need to see what they play like, but overall I don't find anything egregiously wrong with any of this. And then flawless successes. Pure success, failures, fail with okay, so here's some examples of succeeding with consequence or failing with opportunity. Great, we like that. Upgrading the out. So all the stuff that we kind of already saw, just going a little bit deeper, like spending blood and guts to upgrade the outcome. So a tied roll is upgraded to a pure success, or a failed roll may be upgraded to effectively a tie. So it's exactly what I thought it was going to be. Cool. And then acting as a group. Okay, so this is just the move for how to do an action as a group. Okay, now we're going to talk about conflict. Conflict and combat. Let's see. Conflicts are unique situations where characters are at odds, danger is imminent, and victory is on the line. Imagine a tavern fight, a showdown with the boss, or even a verbal beatdown from courtesans. Conflicts don't have to be physical in nature. During a conflict, anyone can make a difference and reactions shift on the fly. Every action can have an immediate effect on the situation, making their timing and sequence important. Conflict's special rules help manage its frenetic pace. So basically, combat rules. Turns and rounds, we got that. When does conflict end? It ends when the threat of danger is over. Killing enemies doesn't exactly have to be the win condition, may even incur consequences. Ending conflict can be a matter of surviving, yada yada yada. Okay, good stuff. Actions you can take. Okay, stuff you can do during combat. You can stand your ground, and by doing that, you help protect. You basically a defense move. You can harm others, either with physique or insight, depending if you're attacking blood or guts. and just how to do that, your difficulty, what your defense and items, and how you do damage, which kind of self-explanatory. We kind of figure that out. Then non-harmful actions. So this is some stuff that looks a little bit like Fate. So you can create an advantage. Advantages give bonuses to the TN of subsequent skill checks by allies. I kind of like that. I like that this is something that's right there codified, so that you can have maybe that fighter character with their big +3 fire sword doing, they're harming others, while the guy who's playing a scholar can create advantages, can hopefully do things with their skills and abilities that can assist the more fighty character. So I like that. I like that is included there. Creating advantages without skill checks. Okay, so that's some other stuff there. Cool mechanics. I love it. Non-harmful actions continued. You can also assist someone, which again, same kind of mechanics, bond and everything. Or you can use a spell or technique, which, yes, of course. And then the TN starts at 6 and is reduced by 1 with each subsequent hit. You perform a spell or technique. Every time you are attacked before your turn, you must succeed at a random 1d6 roll to maintain concentration. Okay, that's for maintaining a spell or technique. Cool. And then skill checks at it. Or you can move far. You can take a non-harmful action to just move up to 5 additional heights. Pretty good. You basically just dash, your dash action. Initiative category. Okay, so how does this game handle initiative? Because you've got categories. So every round, characters act in sequence based on intent. It's called your initiative category. Multiple characters can act in the same category. Once everyone in that group has acted, the next takes place. Okay. So the first category are characters and creatures standing around. The second is those taking non-harmful actions. The third is those attacking or harming others. The fourth is those using a spell or technique. And the last is those moving far more than 2 heights. Before every round begins, everyone has the opportunity to strategize and decide who goes in which initiative category, and how to sequence heroes within each. Once you've decided as a party, the guide or a designated player can begin calling out each category. During the round, players can change their plan for their turn at any time, but can no longer take the same action covered by a past initiative category. Hero actions always resolve before non-hero actions, unless a party was taken by surprise, in which case the reverse happens. Okay, interesting. Beautiful art. Dope. Life, death, and naps. How are we doing on time? We've still got 12 more minutes before the ads go. We've been rocking right through it. So let's see. Life, death, and fallen heroes. You take damage to your approach course when your blood and guts go down, etc. If a hero falls, you have the option of letting them live or die. Okay, so if you choose life, your hero becomes incapacitated and unconscious but fully revives after 5 real-time minutes and 1 in-story hour. Restore all your hero's approach scores to the last healthy value. And then roll 1d6 for additional consequence below. Okay, so let's roll 1d6 and see. Oh, that one just went on the floor. Where'd it go? Here we go. Try it again. 4. You have a prophetic vision of 3 pale girls clawing their way up from the soil. So you bring that with you from the gate of death. Fun times. Anyway, yeah. So basically, you have okay. If you roll also, so you every time this happens, you roll a different one. If you've rolled all 6, man, you're done. You've died 6 times. Just let him rest. If you choose death, every other hero gains experience points. This goes in the next section. Equal to thrice their minor levels in bond. Oh, so if you die and they had a big bond with you and everybody loves you, this is kind of fucked up. That like it's in your best interest to have the guy that everybody loves the most die. The Doomsday Clock consumes 1 moment and you create a new hero. Rest and recovery. Okay, so as you regress, a long rest. We already kind of saw that. Evolving your hero. Okay, so how do we grow and spend XP? XP represent growing along. Players gain 3 XP per real-time hour for games of 1 through 3 sessions and 12 XP each per session for longer campaigns. Hourly XP is awarded immediately. Players can spend XP anytime. Unspent XP does not expire. Increasing an approach score costs 3 times its next value XP. So an approach score from 2 to 3 would be 3 times 3, 9 XP. Okay, cool. And Blood and Guts cut by 1 costs its new value XP for the modifiers. Okay, cool. Bonds are increased to hero attraction, not XP. Okay, yeah, they did establish that. All right, solid, solid. So a simple but straightforward advancement. Just fiction, spells and techniques. Here we go. Spells and techniques are powerful but rare, very rare. They shape a hero's life, forcing them to perform strange rituals, attempting to grasp infinitely fickle and fragile fragments of unreality and pure will. Whether during or outside of conflict, heroes may perform spells and techniques impacting the situation. Spells and techniques are obtained during hero creation, although it is possible to create new instances and custom ones. So let's dive into that. Performing spells and techniques. So we did see already kind of these systems. They did more or less tell us how to roll them. But let's see. When using spells and techniques, you can perform either its base or enhanced version. Oh, so casting the base version just immediately applies its effect, consuming 1 instance. Cool. Enhanced versions, while significantly more powerful, require a skill check and in many cases a reduction of guts. You cannot sacrifice more guts than what you currently have. If you succeed, an instance is consumed. If you fail, nothing happens and the instance is still consumed. Keep that in mind. Additionally, you cannot perform the same spell or technique again for 15 real-time minutes. Real-time minutes? Interesting. This reminds me a little of stuff like Shadow Dark. Except Shadow Dark, so long as you're able to successfully cast a spell, it doesn't go away. It only goes away once you fail. In this time, you're still limited. The spell can only be cast X amount of times either way, but if you fail, that use goes away anyway. So, replenishing spells and techniques. So you do the long rest, or the rituals, etc., etc. Alternate ruling, replenish through rest if you don't wish to use rituals. Okay, cool, cool. So, learning spells and techniques. It's possible to obtain additional instances, so this is just every 15... Wait. Learn new spells and techniques or create custom ones. Your hero should have access to a source that can teach them the spell. Every 15 real-time minutes, you may roll a special skill check with TN equal to Pure, Arcana, or Focus. Do not add Approach. The number of successes you need for a new spell or technique is equal to its complexity, an estimate of how powerful it is. So, complexity 1, lowly but useful. Complexity 2, highly useful in day-to-day. 3, critical and can turn the tide in most situations. Or 4, affect the entire world. Alright. Oh, so that's how many successes you need to accumulate every 15 minutes. And if you have an Arcana of like 1, getting something like this is almost impossible. You would have to get at least an hour and a quarter worth of skill checks minimum, assuming you were to somehow succeed at all of them to get something like this. Real interesting. In this chapter, is rated and listed next to the spell technique name as daggers. For custom spells and techniques, you and the guide should decide on its complexity. All right, so let's take a look at some of those. How are we doing? 6. Okay, cool. For example, if you're trying to learn a complexity 3 technique, you must have 3 successful skill checks in at least 15 real-time minutes apart with a TN equal to Pure Focus. Interesting. I don't, again, I am torn on systems that leave it up to chance whether I learn something or not. Enough persistence in this will probably learn you a thing, but it is entirely possible to roll really poorly just over and over every 15 minutes and just never learn a thing, and that kinda sucks. Like, I don't know how I would work around that to kind of make it a little bit more, not exactly fair. Fair's not the word I'm looking for, but there should be a point where just because your dice hate you doesn't mean that you as a player should be punished, right? And I don't know if there's, like, if if it's a category, if you have rolled twice as many times as the category that you're trying to do, and you still don't have enough successes, I'd say, you know what? You get the successes now. You learn the thing. You fuck it. You learned the thing. You spent enough time. I might house rule something like that. Okay, I just got the ads alert again, so good, because that means we can do a couple of things. One is actually, wait, how long have we? 2 hours and a half. 2 hours and a half, and we still have a lot to go, actually, spells and monsters and whatnot. So you know what? I think we're gonna wrap up. I think we're gonna wrap up now, and that way tomorrow we can spend some time, because I'm gonna want to play with these. I'm gonna have comments as soon as we get into the magic systems and stuff. I'm gonna want to play with these, and then once we get to like stuff like the NPCs, some of the stuff from the GM section, the monsters and their stats, I'm gonna have comments. We're not gonna be able to finish this book in the next half an hour. Right, magic gets juicy. So I think we're gonna call it for here, and tomorrow is gonna be a part 2 of ARC. So look forward to that. And as always, thanks so much for hanging out. I'm not gonna beat around the bush too much longer. We'll just wrap it up right here. Let me just go ahead and put my giant face right on the thing. Now, I did say yesterday that I might do something at night, and then I didn't. I'm going to do the same thing again today. I'm going to say I might be playing some games tonight, but I'm not promising anything. I might not. If I am, it'll probably not Shadows of Doubt again. I'm feeling a little on that one after how it went. I might give it another try, another point. Maybe I'll do one of those kind of spot the difference, horror observation duty kinds of games. I do have a couple that I haven't played in a while, and I do want to maybe try them out, and I think those are more fun when you do them on stream. So I might do a little bit of that tonight instead of making myself work. I think that's what I'm going to do. We'll see. But until then, I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up for today. As always, thanks so much for hanging out. Tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern, as usual, I will be back with the second part of our deep dive into ARC by the incredibly talented Momados. Again, even the criticisms that I've had have been very minimal. And in terms of design, in terms of visual design, layout, everything that we're seeing, this is a work of art. It's beautiful. I'm really enjoying this so far. I cannot wait to dive into it for the second half tomorrow. Until then, thank you, Struggle Bus. Enjoy your evening as well. And anyone else watching, anyone watching after, if you're seeing this on YouTube, please like, subscribe, all the stuff. You know what it is. You know where all the buttons are down at the bottom. If you do it, they explode. It's great. If you're on Twitch, please follow. If you hate the ads that are going to pop up in 2 minutes or maybe less, actually no, I'll let them run once I go to the end screen. So enjoy those, I guess, and then I'll end the stream. But if you'd rather not see them again, hey, subscribe. You know how it goes. Until then, thanks so much. I will see you all tomorrow. And